Today, I'm going to try to convince you why you need to live. I want to start by sharing with you a question or an email that I received from a guy who's obviously decided that trying to put an effort in and trying to make something of your life is kind of a waste of time. Here's what he said. I need your help, especially when it comes to being in a relationship with someone. Do you think that living a life working to become the best, the strongest, or the most beautiful is the best thing to go for? Because remember, there will always be someone better than you. So why even try? Why put yourself through so much pain, spend so much time building something for someone to just come in and take it from you? What are your thoughts? So we've always got this dilemma of self-development, working on your career, building your health, going out there and facing your social anxiety to build relationships. Why bother to do this when it's just so goddamn hard to do and there's so much working against you? There's so many barriers and enemies to your success in these areas. There's the argument that there's always someone better than you. There's the argument of hypergamy, like no matter how good you are, your partner will leave you for some better deal. You know, there's the idea we're all just going to die anyway, so what's the point? Well, today I want to give you 10 reasons why I think you should put some effort into living. Number 1, I get this one from the comedian Ricky Gervais when he was asked about what is life. And he basically says life is a vacation from nothing. Before you're born, there's nothing, no awareness, no sense of time, no sense of anything. And then you're born and you're alive and you've got this vacation from nothing. You're on holiday. And then you die and it goes back to nothing. If you're like me, if you're atheistic, if you don't believe in an afterlife or a God, this is it. This is the one thing you get to experience. And no matter how shitty it is, it's still the best thing you're ever going to experience. So the idea that you want to kind of cop out of this, you can't be bothered putting an effort in, you got to understand this is the only thing you have a chance to put an effort into. Number 2, I do believe self-improvement is a waste of time. Developing your integrity, however, is not. The reason most people feel that their effort is wasted or pointless or too difficult is because it's going in the wrong direction. They're trying to get better, which is a completely subjective and immeasurable term, rather than trying to be real, which is very measurable and much more rewarding. If you're finding that your goals and your path in life is ultimately unsatisfying, I guarantee it's because you're doing it for the wrong fucking reasons. If you change your reasoning to how can I have integrity, how can I live by my core values, how can I live in an honorable way, how can I impress myself, the difficulty, well, not only will that come down, but the reward will go way, way up. Carrying on with that, number 3, there is no such thing as better, especially when it comes to partnerships. Now, the concept of hypergamy, that somebody will leave you for a better deal, that only applies when you don't have a great connection. Somebody always has this checklist in their head of their ideal partner. They must be this tall or this rich or be funny or blah, 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 blah. They've got this list and they think that's what I'm attracted to and that's what I want. Yet the truth is, that's the list they have for somebody they don't have a great connection with. That's the kind of qualities and highs they need to get off this person for it to be worth spending any time with them. But if you can develop a deep, real connection with someone where your presence takes away all sense of loneliness, where being with you makes them feel like they are part of something, that list goes in the fucking bin. They will not care about the list. And you'll see evidence of this all the time. You'll know somebody who has all these high standards and they've got a list, and then the partner they end up with doesn't meet nearly any of them. Their real partner, who they're desperately in love with, and nobody else can understand why. Because of a connection. And how do you create a connection? From being real. So understand that if you're not finding that you seem to be of any value to people, it's probably because you're not being real, and therefore you have to meet their checklist criteria, which is almost impossible. Number 4, the universe is aware of itself through you. The sun doesn't have eyes or ears, the stars and the planets have no sensory perception. Without us, it's all darkness and nothingness. You can't have reality without awareness. There must be what is and what is observing it. We are the observers. And even if you have a shitty life, that's a valuable perspective. It's a new perspective. We don't want movies that are just about someone having a good time, right? We want to see a hero's journey through struggle and strife. If you're homeless, or if you're chronically sick, or you're mentally disabled, that's still a perspective of value. It's as much of value as any other perspective. It gives a fresh, different look at the world. Even if you want to take away the spirituality of being the eyes of the universe, think about other people, what they gain, the wisdom they gain from hearing your perspective, which is definitely different to every single other person's out there. You have a fresh view of things that changes the wisdom of everybody around you. Number 5, a slightly darker point. If you are a believer in science, as I am, you'll have come to the inevitable conclusion that we're fucked. The Earth, as we know it, is dying, and we are almost certainly the cause of that death. This means that we are probably one of the last generations of humans ever. It might be our children or our grandchildren that see the very end. With that inevitable doom in mind, shouldn't we make the most of it while we still can? And there's even the slightest chance of turning it around to be able to provide for someone that you will not be alive to see, which is the ultimate meaning of life, to be able to create a world for somebody else. We're in a position right now where if you can do your part, somebody else might be able to experience a life that at this time, unless we change things, is not going to happen. That is the gift you're capable of providing, and the death, the looming death, is very real for us now. The science is undeniable on this. It's coming, and you could be one of the soldiers that fights back. The greatest evil is the indifference of good people. Are you going to be someone who sits on the sidelines and watches the others fight and lose? Or are you going to throw yourself in there as well and make the best of it? Number 6, when you do find your passion or your purpose, everything that's ever led up to it will seem worthwhile. And the difficulty is, until you find that thing, you won't believe that story. You won't believe that the arc of your life has meaning and is valuable to you, because it hasn't arrived at the point of the story. You haven't arrived at the kind of conclusion that it was all leading up to yet. I understand that, okay? For the first 25 years of my life, I was this nice guy people pleaser suffering in silence, alright? Or suffering behind self-deprecating humor. I mean, you think I fucking enjoyed that? You think I enjoyed having no woman like me? You think I enjoyed being fake and lonely all the time? Fuck no, it did seem pointless. It didn't seem worth continuing with. But now I can coach nice guys and people pleasers because of that journey. My purpose has come to me from my pain. It was all leading up to this. And so now I can understand why I went through it, and it all makes sense to me now, and I wouldn't change a thing. If you're watching this, maybe you're not there yet. Yet. Once you are there, it will all make sense. And don't you want to find out what it is? Number 7, you'll have a unique set of beliefs, principles, things that you stand for and stand against. This makes you a warrior for a certain cause. You are a soldier in a battle. If you don't participate in that battle, the army you fight for is short one soldier. Right now, odds are the reason you don't feel meaning and purpose in your life is because you're not strongly fighting for a cause that you believe in. I, for example, I'm fighting for the cause of confidence. I'm anti-low confidence. I'm anti the people who destroy others' confidence. I have a clear enemy and I have a clear nation of people whom I'm trying to protect. I have a fight that I will fight to the death with. You do too, you just haven't found yours yet. Number 8, I want to share a story I heard, which was there was a suicide note found in San Francisco in an abandoned apartment. And what it simply said was, I am going to walk towards the Golden Gate Bridge today and jump off. But if anybody smiles at me along the way, I won't jump. Now, of course, all they found was the note, so you have to assume nobody smiled. You have no idea the influence you have, the little things you do and the ripple out effect that they have. It's almost impossible to measure. But maybe you just walking around looking people in the eyes and smiling at them could save a life, could make sure a husband doesn't abandon a wife, could make sure a child doesn't feel alone. There's so much you can do and it takes so little effort. And if you could just get out of your own selfish neediness and look out to the huge amount of opportunities out there to slightly improve a life every single fucking day, they're right in front of you. If you can just get out of your own shit. You might think, I don't really make a difference. I don't have a huge impact on the world. Yeah, you do. Even if you do nothing, that's a huge impact. It's a huge negative impact. If you go out there every day and think, how can I improve one person's life just a little bit? You'll be amazed at the plethora of opportunities available to you. Number 9. During the hardest of times is when we have the most doubt. When we're suffering, when we're losing, when things are shitty, when our expectations are here and reality's way down here. That's when we're most likely to question, what's the point of all this? But you're looking at it wrong. All that suffering is training. It is conditioning. You are being built for something. I think of it like getting a tattoo. It sucks to get a tattoo. I've got a few of them, and I have a low threshold of pain. They fucking hurt. I hate when people say they don't hurt. They really fucking do. It feels like someone's got a lit cigarette and they're just dragging it over your skin. It sucks. But afterwards, you get a neat little picture for the rest of your life. It's a period of suffering, and then you get something forever. And all suffering is the same. There's a guy, he was a refugee from Sierra Leone, I believe. I went and watched him do a talk. And this is a kid who was orphaned from a very young age. His parents were murdered in front of him. It's a really Blood Diamond kind of storyline. And he ran in orphanage gangs, just trying to scratch a living with no sort of support or no parental guidance, no adults helping him. And eventually he was refugeed to New Zealand. And he told us a story about how fulfilling it was for him to be able to go into a store and buy himself a sweater. Right? Something I couldn't possibly appreciate. I fucking hate shopping. But his background had trained him to have massive gratitude for the smallest of things, by my judgment. So all that suffering he went through, he ends up in a position where his life has been 100 times harder than mine, and yet he can appreciate life more than I can. That's what his training led up to. Wouldn't you love to know what you're being trained for? If you don't keep struggling, how are you going to find out? And number 10, this one really comes from the heart. I've got to be frank with you. Either pull your weight or get the fuck out of the way. The world is overpopulated. We're destroying the environment. The politicians of the world are greedy and corrupt. We're being run by businesses who just want to steal your money. So get your ass up and do something about it. Fight for a team. I don't even care if you're fighting against me. Just fight. Do something with your life. Because if you sit by, the good people have to die for you. We need people to get over their bullshit and step up to the plate. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and share it around. If you want to figure out how to build your integrity and make a difference before it's too late, email me directly, dan@brojo.co.nz, and I'll put you onto some resources, or you can even apply for a complimentary coaching session. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to rant and live my purpose through making little videos by myself to my cell phone that are watched by people on the internet who should be working. I'll see you all next time.